is practicing. Really excited. That's what Ward did. I think that's his partner. He didn't even dress up. Or whatever.
Okay, great. We're moving away from populations of species into applied work, and we're headed to Butte Falls, Oregon. Chris is in the room. It's my honor to announce to you the next talk, Joshua Kahsen, Perez, how recirculating aquaculture systems can benefit the Butte Falls school system and community.
Yeah.
I'm Joshua Kahsen.
Yeah, and as John said, our projects on our Recirculating Aquaculture Systems, aka RAS, can benefit the Butte Falls school system and community. So, a little bit of context. Well, the Butte Falls hatchery closed in 2011, leaving the property effectively abandoned in terms of aquaculture production. It closed twice due to a parasite called Mycetium, aka the hatchery killer. And it closed also, ODFW, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, closed it to consolidate resources. Later that year, the Butte Falls Charter School and teachers like Chris Mathis utilized the property as a natural resource center. Now, a little bit more about the Butte Falls Charter School. It's pretty small with only a couple hundred students, K through 12, 230 approximately. And along with that, Butte Falls census data shows that about 82% of the population has a high school diploma, like equivalent, and only 11% of the population has a bachelor's or associate's level degree, which is 10% lower than where I'm from in Grants Pass. And that's kind of indicative of how this is a very small rural community. And despite that, though, the goal is to provide as many educational opportunities that seek to increase the amount of students achieving base levels of education and potentially higher. Now, current estimates of aquaculture show that it supports 22,000 jobs annually and is projected to increase 20% by 2030. And aquaculture utilizes the resources already available in the old hatchery facility. All that it needs to do is be revitalized for a new kind of aquaculture. So, our project impetus. Why are we doing this? Well, we believe that an aquaculture program at the old Butte Falls hatchery is exemplary of what Butte Falls needs, and that is more opportunity. And our goal is to provide that opportunity with RAS aquaculture through recycling, aging infrastructure for new updated uses, providing a source of food creation in a sustainable and resource-efficient practice, while also being a teaching tool that ties classroom education to real-world applications. See, whether these students go into aquaculture for a career, this project provides ample opportunity for other interests to be fostered, like biology, agriculture, math, all things that are a part of this project that don't necessarily directly apply to it, but can be applied to other careers.
We're not the only program to do this. Another program is led by the Maryland Sea Grant. It's an aquaculture in action program. It encompasses 22 Maryland schools, and its main purpose is programming, research, education on recirculating aquaculture systems. And it kind of acts as a proof of concept for our project here.
So why RAS? And we decided to farm tilapia on this project, and why? Well, blue tilapia are a hardy species that can be raised densely, and they also have the best market viability in terms of tilapia, as well as also being the best subspecies for our climate. Now, we don't have unlimited water. We're only using rain and tap water. This is also because of the Big Butte Creek killed the original hatchery. With this, we have no water flowing through our system. Instead, we are recirculating it. And with that being said, we are able to reuse about 90% of our water daily, potentially more due to us having commercial level equipment. And this system is completely controlled, and it's not reliant on upstream water quality, as well as we don't have to worry about effluent discharge. So we don't have to worry about touching the creeks at all. Now, with RAS, water quality is monitored and maintained to the highest standards, while wild harvest or other forms of aquaculture, such as flow-through systems like the one I work for at Cole River's hatchery, leave a lot of ambiguity in terms of environmental quality and reliance on continually degrading ecosystems. RAS tilapia is more resource and space efficient than traditional livestock, especially due to our system being extremely water intensive, and we're able to produce about the same amount of weight or potentially more than an Angus cow every 6 months. RAS also removes reliance on estimates of wild stocks of fish such as salmonids. So we are continually having to up our production at Cole Rivers due to degrading stocks. And also, eating lower on the food chain means there's less resources used to make the final product, as opposed to eating a species such as like tuna, right? And we know exactly what our tilapia are eating, and we can improve feed quality, removing ambiguity and reliance on ecosystems' ability to provide quality feed. So, how much water will we need? The raceway that we are raising fish in has about 1,243 gallons of total capacity. With that 10% replacement, we'll have to replace about 124.3 gallons per day. Multiply that by 365 days, that's approximately 45,370 gallons annually. And per group of fish, we use about 22,700 gallons. That's not that much water. So SOU, according to the Office of Sustainability, uses about 90,000 gallons of potable water per day, which is twice the amount of water that we would use in 1 year. So, how much fish can we produce? Well, our objective is to raise approximately 1 adult fish per gallon. And we believe we can do this since we're able to purchase commercial level filtration equipment and aeration as well. 1 fish per gallon gives us 1,243 total fish, and our individual fish weight production goal is 1.8 pounds per fish. Multiply that by 1,243, and that will give us 2,237 total pounds of fish.
So what water quality parameters do we need to look at to ensure our fish are raised healthy and quickly? There's 5 main water quality parameters you need to look at. Temperature, which needs to be around 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. We're trying to get the system at 75, nice middle ground. pH needs to be around 7 due to our pre-water quality checks of our rainwater. We had 6.8, which will be sufficient enough. For ammonia, needs to be less than 1 part per million. For nitrates, around 5 to 150 parts per million. And for dissolved oxygen, more than 5 parts per million. So how will we change the water quality to reach our standards? So for pH, there's some chemicals that we can use that are fish safe and food safe. Calcium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide can change the pH if it gets too low. For chlorine, if we start using our tap water, we can use calcium or sodium thiosulfate in order to get rid of the chlorine. For temperature, we've walled off a space and insulated an area with heaters. We'll talk more about that later on to keep the temperature at a stable temperature. And for ammonium nitrates and dissolved oxygen, our filtration, water replacement, and aeration will keep that stable. So how are we going to treat the water? So we have two raceways in our initial system. One is a water treatment raceway, where the water from the rain storage or tap water will go into the first raceway, and we can see what the water quality is and change it if we need to. And then we can move it to our second raceway, which is our fish rearing raceway, where all the fish is going to be. So how are we going to revitalize the infrastructure? So we spent over 250 hours updating this facility from a big warehouse to a that uses run-through aquaculture system to a small recirculating aquaculture system. We built walls and put in insulation to keep heat in. We set up plumbing to get water from our water storage to our raceways. And we initiated a process of building a water tower that will be completed early fall, late summer. And we combined raceways to make a bigger rearing space for our fish. We also purchased a lot of equipment. We are lucky enough to get a $20,000 grant from the Alumba Collective. So we're able to purchase really good filters that have three main filter components: a mechanical drum filter, a UV filter, and two biofilters. And we also purchased variable flow pumps so we can control the flow of our system. This helps fish with metabolism and just keeping the water quality parameters at bay. We also purchased two food grade liners, 41 by 12 foot. This allows us to minimize leaks and also prevent erosion of the aging concrete of the raceways. We also set up a water quality monitoring system to make sure that we know at all times the water quality of our system. So here are the filtration components. We have the mechanical drum filter right here. We have the UV filter, and we have the two biofilters. For monitoring equipment for water, we have two sets of two water quality monitoring devices. We need two devices because there are not a lot of devices that have everything that we need to watch. One device shows pH, temperature, dissolved solids, nitrates, and other stuff. And then the other one just shows dissolved oxygen. And we have two sets, one for the water treatment raceway and one for the fish rearing raceway. That way we know what the water quality is in our treatment raceway, so we can change it if we need to. And then we can know in our fish rearing raceway, we can know if it continues to be the same water quality parameters that we need. Not only do we revitalize and purchase equipment, we also had an opportunity to educate the Butte Falls Charter School. We had an opportunity to present our project on Earth Day and teach the students about aquaculture and what we're doing in their facility. Chris Mathis also created classes to help with some projects benefiting the system. For example, a class is going to be building the water tower in the fall.
All right. The objective of this project is to build the foundation of the Butte Falls RAS for long-term continuation, giving further opportunity for the system to grow and evolve. We started out with an abandoned hatch house set up for a completely different type of aquaculture and updated the infrastructure for RAS tilapia farming. As Josh was saying, we obtained the necessary equipment such as pumps, filters, aeration equipment, etc. And we also started building that water tower above rainwater storage containers. We initiated the process of a management plan for equipment upkeep, while also starting to include some fish rearing factors. A big part of this project was building in redundancies, because if you build it, it will fail. And to account for that, we purchased two filtration units that we can control with valve switches, that are also able to filter more water than what our system holds, each individual unit can. And we also got multiple backup pumps that all have flow adjustments built in, which are good for, like, as Josh was saying, for metabolism, and also we could change the flow if we need to for cleaning purposes. We had two sources of water, rain and tap, allowing for constant immediate availability. As well as that water tower being built, it allows us to have a couple extra 100 gallons of water that we could feed into our system via gravity. So extra redundancy there. And we filled in those concrete raceways with concrete and used the food grade, and we got the pond liners installed for additional water loss protection to keep this system as water intensive as possible. And that monitoring equipment that Josh was talking about is able to connect to our phones for constant availability and monitoring. I wake up a lot of the times working for Cold Rivers with nightmares about fish dying, so it's really cool that we can just make sure that they're not. So here's some pictures of the system we built, specifically the water circulation. So this shows water coming out of the system. Here are some of the valve switches that we were talking about. This picture here shows where the water will come out and come back into our system. This picture here shows the pump that we purchased, and so water can flow into the filtration devices. And again, here are the valve switches going into the filters.
They got
and then
$20,000 grant.
now,
So
this is everything we got done. It was a lot of work, and it shows the walls we built. There's insulation inside of them. The ceiling that we put in, which was scary to put in. It shows the two raceways with the pond liners as well. Right there, you can see that piece of PVC is where tap water will be able to flow into the treatment raceway. And you can see the filters in the back. I'm really proud of this project. I think we set up the next group of people working on this as best as possible to hopefully be able to start raising like a test group of fish next spring. Now, we'd like to thank Chris Mathis because, well, without him, we wouldn't have been able to update the infrastructure. I mean, he helped us a lot in terms of building. I feel like I could build the shed after this. I mean, it was very big. It was crazy. And the Butte Falls Charter School just gave us this space because they really want this program to start and they really want it. And they allowed us to just take a significant portion of that hatch house and wall it off for this purpose. And the Alumbra Collective gave us the $20,000 grant, which allowed us to purchase equipment that was commercial level, allowing us to raise fish as densely as possible. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife also made the permitting process super simple for us due to a little quid pro quo Josh set up with them. As well as some of my coworkers at the hatchery and the hatchery manager, giving us a lot of insight on what was possible in this facility. And my buddy Spencer Sloan, who's on the left of me there, we hired him to help us a lot with building the infrastructure. And he also helped the group after us with this project, or with their project.
And here are the citations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank y'all.
Any questions? Leslie?
That is so cool. What an amazing applied project, and also so appropriate for what you've been doing, Kai, in your, during your few years here. I think I might have missed it. Maybe so. What is the overall vision that this is going to be like a functioning, marketable, sold at farmers markets, tilapia that sustains the education center? Is it to make money? Is it education? Both? What? Maybe give me a little bit of idea what the ultimate vision is of how this will function.
Well, this project was pretty big, and a lot of our part was focusing on just getting the project started. Though the goal is to eventually either
You're following me.
food for the school or some local businesses potentially around Butte Falls. The permitting process isn't too crazy for that. We purchased the ones that we need so far, and yeah, eventually the goal is to get this program so it's not necessarily fully grant funded to eventually be functional in terms of making some profits.
Another thing that is good to know is Butte Falls is a very small rural town. It has one grocery market, and so it also will provide a source of local food that the community can enjoy.
have like an estimated or maybe goal timeline for when that would become a functioning hatchery?
So the goal is by next spring to have a test group of fish being raised to kind of see like the capabilities that we would be able to do. We have like pretty lofty goals for the amount of production that we can facilitate, but it really just depends on how many people want to end up continuing the project and well, the amount of grants that we're able to still get. But yeah.
With the title, I thought you were going to hook in the schools a bit more. Is part of the big vision to develop an educational program where kids are coming in and running the facility as part of their school?
Yeah.
That is also a part of the plan for this broader thing. So not only is it for food insecurity, it's also an educational, there's a bunch of classes being created that will be about this, and like we can kind of show them around and teach them about aquaculture.
Yeah, one thing we're really pushing for is potentially another group to come in and who have more like an environmental ed background to potentially build a lesson plan, but also the charter school has the capabilities to, like we were talking about with Chris, already having some construction classes associated with this project. It provides ample opportunity for them to also build additional lesson plans around this project.
Super cool, nice job. At 1 fish per gallon, thinking about all those fish and their waste and all of that, like I imagine the water quality could degrade kind of quickly on that side. I know you're recirculating, but I'm wondering what's involved in terms of maintenance and dealing with the wastes and things that might be filtered out.
So again, those filtration units are, each individual one is capable of dealing with more water than what we are using in our system. So if needed, we have 2 of them that can deal with double the load. They also have an effluent discharge like mechanism in the back of the drum filters. So that's another thing where we can take that effluent discharge and utilize it elsewhere. But yes, it is a mechanism that we already have built into the system.
Just a quick follow-up, is that fish effluent discharge something that could be treated and used as a fertilizer, or does it need to be disposed of in another way? Do you know?
With us using everything that we're using with it, especially for the feed, is food grade. So I'd imagine so.
So the plan is, the water that goes out of the building goes into a holding tank where we have a pressured pump, and that's gonna distribute that nutrient-rich water to all the gardens, the greenhouse, and to the trees that were planted by another team of SOU students on the nearby hillside. So we're gonna utilize all of the water that comes out of it for those things.
So I'm curious about the water loss, and some of it is what he just talked about, is some of it the evaporation.
Yeah, that is a factor. That's part of it. I believe one thing we're going to do is also keep them somewhat enclosed, both of the raceways, to help mitigate against that, as well as trying to, I guess, regulate temperature to minimize the amount of...
Well, it's very little loss already.
Yeah, and it being inside also helps a lot with that, so we're not having to deal with like as much sun, and yeah.
I'm wondering what's your guys' total startup cost?
As of so far, I believe we've used 15,000.
15,000.
Wow.
Yes.
You guys got all that done with just 15. That's interesting.
Yeah, we still have like $5,000 left, so we have a decent amount to like purchase feed and the first kind of initial group of fish to like test the system.
You said that the fishery closed in 2011. Do you see, like, kind of starting of this kind of fishery initiative, bringing back any, like, potential jobs to the region that might have been lost from that closing originally?
So I work with a lot of the people who originally worked and maintained that facility. It was consolidated, so they moved a lot of those people already to where I work at Coal Rivers. But yeah, that is a goal. If we're able to get a grant that we're looking at, the goal is to potentially hire someone part-time to help maintain the facility.
Also, with this recirculating aquaculture system, it's very easy for people to set them up in their ranches. This is a very like ranch heavy community, and it's very easy just to like kiddie pool or like that over the ground pool and recirculate the water and create fish, so that they can also use that as their own business as well.
Our goal is to provide some jobs here, but with it being a very like simple system that is pretty self-maintaining, especially due to the equipment we were able to purchase, like only maybe a couple of jobs, not like a whole team of people necessarily, but.
So to help fill in here, the future of the project can go a number of ways. One of them, of course, is education, but this project is as new to the school as it was to Josh and Ty and I. It had been a brainchild that was around for 10 years, but it all came together this October with the funding showing up and the talent showing up. We're having a huge turnover of staff right now, including principal and superintendent. So trying to get people on board with this year was really complicated, knowing that they're not going to be here next year. So we're hoping that we can get some staff who are going to be committed to teaching various things in that building. We just received a grant for $7,500 to buy a commercial flash freezer, and the intent is to prepare the fish and create Butte Falls fish sticks and market them. That's my job. So that's where I'm looking into now, is how do we market our product? And as Kai said, we're hoping that local ranchers or their children, decide to take this up as, a kind of a sidebar income opportunity. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to do a lot of positive for the community in this. We already have 2 students from this class, who will be seniors next year, who have come up and looked at the project and decided they'd like to take it on and continue the project. And Kai and Josh have paved the way for just all kinds of opportunity and possibilities now that we've got it at this point. It's something we can show to the community, and it's real, it's tangible, and it's not just somebody saying this is what I can do. So I want to thank Josh and Kai for not only doing it, but doing it passionately and with just intense concern for detail on everything. So it made it easy for me to just kind of watch them troubleshoot this and problem solve around it and get it done. So thank you.